If you're looking for a little bit of cozy Animal Crossing decorating gameplay as you work on your own islands, maybe play a different game, do some chores around your house, or maybe work, or even if you just want to use this as entertainment for your pets, this might be the right video. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Malene and I absolutely love decorating in Animal Crossing, but because sometimes decorating an entire island is a bit overwhelming, I recently asked on my Instagram and TikTok for people to give me 3 to 5 emojis, and then I would attempt to decorate an area inspired by those. And so that's exactly what we'll be doing today. This here is the emoji combination that I will try and focus on today. So we've got a frog, sort of a lily pad, or kind of like a lotus flower, I think it is, a mushroom, a fairy, and a tree. And when I saw this, I have to say, I immediately sort of had this picture in my mind of like a really cozy early morning forest clearing, kind of like a pond, obviously. So there's, frogs there and some lily pads, but there's a lot of trees around, and there's some fairies and maybe some tiny houses in the trees. And so we are actually on a slumber island today. I'm not going to be working on my own island. I just want to build up this one area. We're gonna, I think, attempt to do like one entire picture frame and just have it so that, I can kind of tackle this sort of decorating challenge, if you want to call it that. And also I can just kind of try out this theme, and perhaps it might inspire some of you either for an entire island theme, or maybe it could be like a fun like filler, or if you have like a decent amount of space on your island left open, maybe a little forest clearing is just the way to go. So as you can see, I did also change my outfit. I kind of prepped a little bit. I got a couple of codes. I searched a bit on Pinterest to find a few inspiration pictures, and I will make sure to kind of link all of that on a page on my Notion, I think, and you'll find that in the description box. So if I use anything today, or also if you like this outfit and you want your own character to wear it, then definitely make sure to check the description box. All right, so the first thing I think that we need to do is bring over some of the custom designs that I want to be using after I've read all of these things. This is a new island, so I have to go through like all of the explanations once again. Okay, so I'm going to be bringing over some of the custom designs from my actual island. So these codes are from an island called Reverie. It is a feminism themed island. I will also link the Notion page for that, just in case any of you want to find the path code or any of the blanket codes or anything like that. I'm going to be interested first and foremost in the path here, in this like daisy path. I feel like this would be quite lovely. So the way I'm picturing this entire area right now is that there will not be like an official path. So it won't be kind of connected to any other area, obviously, first of all, because we don't have another area, but also just because I want it to really feel as though like you're just sort of maybe stumbling through the forest and then you just so happened upon this clearing, and there's not really established pathways. There's just maybe a couple of these like flower patches, so like just a bit of just some wildflowers, I suppose this could kind of be. They also sort of do look, well, similar-ish to kind of that lotus flower emoji. So I think that could kind of work. And then I think from my codes from the actual island, that's probably it. But I did also get a couple more fillers over here, like some of these lily pads. I don't know exactly which one we'll use, but I'll just kind of bring all of them over. That certainly doesn't hurt. I also got this one with the water lily like flower on top, because that kind of does look like the emoji most of all, I think. And I also did bring over this little fairy circle, because obviously there is a mushroom included in the emojis, and so I definitely want to bring in some mushrooms as well. And something else I also got was this over here, these two like fairy houses. I kind of want to try and bring a couple of those in. I think the others, so this is the hat that I've got. All the others are just dress codes, but these fairy houses I think should be kind of useful. Right, so I am at the end of April, I think. So the Slumber Island time is always kind of tied to the actual time on your real island. So you can only control it so much from the Slumber Island itself. But I set it to sort of the, yeah, April. I think it is end of April, or maybe it's the beginning of May. So that the weeds are the spring ones, essentially. Because I think those would look really cute if we do like a bit of, yeah, just some overgrown vibes kind of around the corners, I'm thinking. I also made a lovely sketch. So something you should know about me is I am not talented at drawing at all. I would love, you know, to be able to draw, and I would love to learn, but so far my skills are really non-existent, if we're honest. So the drawing itself is kind of just like a stick figure level sort of sketch on my notepad. I might show you a picture, I don't know. But yeah, I wanted to get started with a few or like a little bit of landscaping, because I do think a nice backdrop of just a few cliffs here could really add some, yeah, some of that depth and some of the height that I think will really turn it into a clearing. I mean, I could just put like trees all around, but I think if like in the back, the trees kind of go a little bit higher and really the space is sort of enclosed, I feel like that would be really, really nice. So I'm just going to be starting in the very back left of the Slumber Island. I've chosen the biggest one because I want to do a couple of differently themed decorations on this island, all, you know, not connected whatsoever, but just so I can kind of try around with a few different themes and just do some smaller decorating challenges. Also so that I can finally use the Slumber Islands. I honestly haven't made too much use of them. I have done one kind of, I think it was a medium-sized island together with my mods over on Twitch. We did sort of this, it was like a weirdly peak-inspired sort of thing. So we built a couple of cliffs and we put some luggage around, and then at the very top there was this like yeah, marshmallow like fire campsite sort of thing, and then I did do another one with my friend that was actually a full-sized island, and we did halfway like a witchy forest, and then halfway sort of this like underwater magic world. That was a lot of fun. I will say, I don't know if any of you have been using the Slumber Islands recently. If you have, I would love to know, you know, what your experience has been with them. And also, because I always love to know this, what are you doing as you're watching this long play? I always love to hear it. I've heard of, you know, just cats and dogs being entertained by like my little character running around and putting stuff everywhere. I've heard people using this to kind of, you know, fall asleep, to calm their anxiety, and also, of course, to kind of keep them company as they work on their own islands, or maybe, you know, go about their work day. So yeah, I would love to know. I would love to know what you're doing, and I would love to know about your experience with the Slumber Islands. But yeah, I definitely love decorating. I absolutely love having like your entire catalog to use without having to acquire the items, because I think even using treasure islands, you know, even like fast tracking, I guess, the item acquisition process, it still takes a long time. Like going to treasure islands, I spent all of Monday this week, I think, because it was a national holiday here. So I spent all day kind of going to treasure islands and more or less completing this catalog, because it was a very new island. But now, as you can see, I have so much stuff. I even went in and I got all like the wedding things and the mermaid things and the bunny day stuff, because you never know what type of emoji combinations might intrigue me. So we'll see what sort of combinations I'll do. Okay. Now, I think my goal for this would be to have sort of a picture frame filled so that you don't know it's like a cut off area just on a Slumber Island. So I would say like maybe around, if you stood here to the left, that would be fine. And so I think we are going to need a little bit more cliff to the right hand side. I wonder if it maybe is just like one of the squares filled up, perhaps a tiny little bit more. So I think we can maybe see around like this much. I might even go ahead and also add more cliff on top of this, so that in some parts we maybe even get like a double layer, because I feel like it would seem very impressive. Okay, we have like one, or I'm gonna say 2 more tiles to go until we hit the line of the square, I guess, the square border. So maybe at some point, this slumber island, it currently does not have a name yet. It's just called Dreamyland because that is the normal name, or like the default name that you start with. But perhaps this island will be sort of my, yeah, I don't know what it's called, but the 20 acres challenge, or kind of like, you know, one square is one theme. I know that Fleurs did something like that, and I think a couple of other creators have done that as well. And it seems like a very fun challenge. I think especially the custom designs can be quite hard because, you know, you only have so many, and you can't really have like a code or like a path code for every single area. So we'll see. I'm not really aiming for everything to work cohesively, so I think some of the areas will be more built for, let's say, like a late summer sort of aesthetic, or there might even be like a winter aesthetic in here, so I don't think the final product will kind of work together, but yeah, I'm just using it as kind of my canvas, if you will. This is sort of just my creative canvas, which I feel like the Slumber Islands were sort of made for. But yeah, I think one point that I was going to mention before about the Slumber Islands is that as much as I love them for the decorating aspect and that sort of creative mode feeling that's been definitely missing from Animal Crossing New Horizons so far, but I know a lot of people don't really want it for it either, is essentially the villagers. I miss the villagers, so I think at some point we might bring just a few cuties that sort of fit this vibe. I think maybe we can bring Sherry, Timbra. I think maybe her name is Cherie, but I feel like that's always very hard to pronounce in the middle of an English sentence, so I'm always saying Sherry. So it's not cherry, but Sherry. I don't know. That might be the wrong way to pronounce it. But yeah, maybe her, maybe Timbra, maybe Flurry, maybe Opal, and perhaps even Pearl. I think apart from that, I don't know if any of these really fit. I think at some point I'm gonna have to bring my Forever Island onto this Switch. This is my Switch 2, because it is the smoothest when it comes to like building and all. And I might have to try and get a couple of different villagers over time so that I can just have like a bit of freedom when it comes to, you know, choosing villagers here. Okay, we may even attempt to have a bit of a viewing platform, you know, since I don't have to worry too much about like attaching this to another area or like adapting it to another path or anything like that. I do think, yeah, we can maybe just bring up a little tiny cliff for viewing purposes. Okay, so this is only about, what is that, 5, 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles deep? Wide? No, wide is this way, right? I don't know how you call this, but thick? It's only about 6 tiles thick. Okay, now I think I definitely would like to, if I include a pond here, I was thinking about a pond code also, but I'd like to try with like an actual pond and actual water, just because it looks very peaceful, which I think is kind of the goal here. Definitely would like to have some more cliffs up ahead, but that also means I think we'd start them just at the very back, like as far back as we can, because we don't really have to build anything behind this. To be able to even plant one singular tree, you need a 3x3 cliff, right? So that would be 2x3 and then just another little bit of cliff to the side here. So this would allow for just one tiny tree, or well, it can be a fully grown, but you know what I mean. Just one tree. But then I would definitely like to be able to maybe plant another tree just in front of the cliff. I don't plan on having any waterfalls, even though they're beautiful, and I feel like a little trickling waterfall into the pond would be fantastic if we're talking real life. If we're talking Animal Crossing though, unfortunately the waterfalls are so loud that I feel like for this vibe and for this long play especially also, I don't necessarily want to do that just because it's too noisy. It's too noisy. I know that some people use these to calm their anxiety, and I personally find that the Animal Crossing waterfalls do not do that. So maybe we avoid it. Maybe we avoid the waterfalls. I think we can. So it would definitely have to be around this much if we still want to plant a tree in front of that cliff. We're definitely going to do some natural curving, I think. You know, maybe we have like a cliff towards the left-hand side and maybe towards the right-hand side, and then we have just a bunch of trees in the center. And then maybe we can do, maybe we can let the cliff kind of curve a little bit forward here. And then the in-between will have some natural curves. And then I also would like to be able to plant some trees probably along these cliffs here before the pond starts. So the pond truly just looks like it is just enclosed by the forest, essentially, just by a lot of trees in like varying heights. So yeah, I think we might need more cliff than we initially think. That always happens. I think every time I try to do something with landscaping or with waterscaping, I think especially once cliffs come into play, you always need a little bit more room than you initially suspect, just because of how trees and cliffs function in Animal Crossing and just the spacing they require. But that's okay. As far as the Slumber Island goes, that's totally fine because we have a lot of space. You know, we have all of the space really. I haven't built anything else just yet on here, so if we extended this to the entire island, that would definitely make the video too long, but that would be okay. That would be okay in case of the spacing. Okay. So I wonder how far we are to the left-hand side. So if we're standing here, we are just seeing kind of the left-hand side, like the sky and the beach. But I think if we place just like a tree there, just at that corner, then that would be fine. So I think like the width of this seems quite good to me, if I'm honest. So I do wonder if maybe we can just curve this one here a little bit more forward, kind of just like this. Okay. And then we're maybe just gonna cut it off on the side here. I wonder if I can maybe do that. Oh, okay. I've gone one over the kind of line here. So we could shape that away and actually just go with, yeah, actually just go with that little, is it a quadrant? That square on the map. Maybe we can attempt that. So it kind of would go until this point and then this line would be removed. Let's pretend that's the case, right? And then I'm just gonna go around these. Even if I'll still change some stuff around it, I always kind of like to see stuff with rounded edges because it just looks better. It looks a lot better. We're gonna do the same thing on this side. I think I'd like to bring a tiny bit of a curve here as well. So maybe like 4 tiles and then we curve it right here. And so we also curve it there. Perfect. Okay. And then in that case, you know, we will bring some vines just here so I can climb up. In that case, I would have just about one line right here in front of this cliff where I could be placing a tree. Now, if I wanted to place another tree here, I wonder if I can maybe bring the cliff here a tiny bit forward and we can just do like a bit of a, yeah, just like 2 trees. Because this, I think, would work tree spot wise. Also, we can use some of the large mushroom platforms. I definitely want to be using some mushrooms because they just, I mean, like a magical fairy forest. I think mushrooms would look fantastic with that. Okay, and then I'm just gonna round all of this as well. So it's kind of just like these two 3x3 platforms combined. Then everything's rounded so it looks a bit more intentional a lot of times. Obviously it's quite cut off towards the left side here, but we can also just add, actually we can also just add a few tiles there as well, once again, just to make it look like I completely planned this. You know, so I'd go maybe here. I can't hop here, okay. Maybe like these 3 tiles, or maybe 4 as well. And then we'll just go around and also around all of these corners. Okay. All right, and then we can still go in if we think that like sometimes we might need a little bit more to be able to, you know, plant a tree, or perhaps like place one of those mushroom parasols or something. That we can always easily go in and just carve out a tiny bit more or add a little bit more. That all kind of works. Okay, then I will kind of remove a little bit of stuff here. That should still allow us to plant a tree there, I think. And then that doesn't seem like the worst spacing here. Okay, now our viewing platform, I'm also thinking, wait, to get my tool back. May also need to, you know, move further back, but also we are not really going to be super focusing on that because it's just maybe a nice little add-on. For now, let me get out my shovel. So this right here is kind of a weird spot because we can't place a tree. See, that's kind of the problem with like cliffs. You can't place a tree whenever you squeeze past it like this, which is kind of annoying. But it does work for water, which is weird. Yeah. But my goal would kind of be to still be able to have a couple of trees just around the edge of the pond. Okay, so perhaps we need to sacrifice a little bit more cliff somewhere so that I can do like a nice bit of layering of trees, right? Let me get back my shovel. Unfortunately, I can only use my shovel so far because on the Slumber Islands, you don't actually use your pockets. Your pockets look like this. They're really small and you've only got like dream tools. And so the way to plant trees, usually I will dig kind of a hole to make sure it goes into the exact spot that I want. And also because I like to plan out my tree spots with like these just holes on the ground. I can be like, okay, you know, okay, this can't be a tree. So maybe then this is one, right? And then I kind of go around and I do a bunch of like holes like this. And so the problem now is I would not be able to plant a tree like this because I can't use my pockets. And then if I go into the catalog, which is what you do here, and I try to plant a heartwood tree, then it doesn't let me because I've kind of, you know, used up the spot. So I have to like remove it and then I can plant one. I can plant it just like that though, right? So I don't need to get it, which is kind of a plus. So I'm willing to take the limitations, and also you can choose the stage of the tree. You can even do like a chopped tree, and yeah, just do that for all of them. You can even have the cedar trees with the lights on them, which I think is really fun. So there are quite a lot of things around the Slumber Islands that I quite enjoy. Okay, so I guess this here, you know, this would be fine. But that would also lead to our pond being quite far to the front. I think that is fine though. Let me get out my water tool and then perhaps we can already kind of try to, you know, sort of get these spots kind of decided on, I guess. So like, you know, the spots right there where I've kind of dug a hole, those will definitely be trees. And then let's just see how much water we can add to this. So it would be nice to get a bit of a natural sort of movement going. So what we could maybe try is just have it wider on the left side than on the right hand side. When I was thinking about what I'd like this area to look like, I also briefly thought about if there is any way for me to include kind of a bridge across a pond, so that, you know, you shape it to be thin enough in a specific spot so that you can fit the bridge, and then the rest of it is kind of still pond-like. But I feel like with the entire space here, I maybe want to focus on just like the trees and everything first. Okay. And then I wonder how far we're going to make this go. We could definitely try to do another tree somewhere here to the right-hand side. It doesn't work here. No, because you do squeeze. Okay. These are directly next to each other, which I usually try to avoid. But since we are just quite limited in our general space here, we might just this once allow it. And then maybe we kind of, you know, have trees like that. Judging from the front, if I just imagine a couple of trees in those spaces, that could actually look kind of cute. And so now, what if I try to kind of morph my pond just around these? What if it just goes like this? I do want to leave a tiny bit of space open at least for some decorations. I have to at least place one frog and one mushroom item. And of course I'll have to plant, well, I'll have to plant a tree, but I feel like that is the least of my concerns from those emojis. And then the fairies, admittedly, I think that there is a custom design that you can put on these like tabletop pop displays, I think they're called. But they're not really my favorite. So my thought behind it was more that looking at the area, you'll get the vibe that this is for fairies, right? This just, everything just feels very magical and fairy-like, and you don't necessarily see them because they like to hide. You know, fairies are, I don't even know if they're shy, but they're crafty. They don't want to be seen by humans. And so they just kind of hide out in the forest, but we'll have a couple of houses for them. I'm just kind of obsessed with this idea of putting some doll houses up in the trees with like maybe the Mario platforms or something like that. And also that like umbrella code that I got. So yeah. Okay. You know what? I don't really, I don't hate this pond shape. I am now worried that we'll not have enough room, that we didn't close everything off enough. Actually, maybe we did though. Again, we gotta add trees to the entire ensemble and then I think we're good. But this is a lovely pond. It looks a little bit like a kidney or maybe also kind of a croissant without the pointy, like the pointy sides. But I love croissants. So what's the harm in that, right? All right. So we've got a little bit of cliff in the background. We have some tree spots already. We will need another cliff here, but before I do that, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add a bunch of vines to all of these, especially the rounded edges, and then sometimes if there's like a long strip of like straight edges like here, I'm also gonna add something there. Actually, maybe here instead, because I'm thinking this spot could be a tree, and so that'll cover up this part, right? Sometimes I just like to put it on all the curved parts. I don't know. I think maybe I tend to sort of overdo it with the vines, but they're just too pretty not to use them, you know? Okay, same thing here. There's like two straight ones next to each other, so one of them will get a vine. I think this here is too much though. Maybe like that. And then we'll just add one here as well. Perfect. This one might be kind of covered by the tree, and then I'll add two over here, and then that, you know, that here might still be removed, just so we get that perfect split down the line sort of thing. And then of course we do still have this cliff here as well, so I'm just gonna add a couple of vines here too. I think in this case I'd like to add something here. Yes, okay, and now let's look at that from the bottom again. And then I think we can maybe try and add another second tier cliff on the right-hand side. Yeah, as for the time of day, you know, The 7 a.m. lighting, this is very bright, I apologize. The 7 a.m. lighting is usually one of my favorites, but I found on Slumber Islands, I don't know if it always is tied to kind of this specific weather, but I find that the 7 a.m. never has clouds, and so on Slumber Islands, I don't love it too much. I don't love it. And I think for this specific area, I quite enjoy that kind of more sleepy vibe, but I want to go for more this like, I think this would be like a 6 a.m. 6 a.m. lighting. I feel like that kind of works. And now I think my next step might be figuring out the other cliff. And for that, I think I might plan it around trees. Okay, we'll get started first of all. I think with a little bit of fence, which I think you have to change. Oh yeah, you have to change the mode up here. So this is the fence mode. And then I think what I want to do, I don't know if I have all the fencing actually looking at this, but I think what I want to do perhaps is some vertical board fence along the back. I think on almost all of my islands, I kind of do this. I just use some vertical board fence along the back part of the island because right where I'm standing this entire line, I will not be able to plant any trees. And a lot of times I find that the vertical board fence kind of helps fill in any gaps in between trees, which makes everything look a lot more like lush and full and green. And I think especially kind of for the forest feeling that I'm trying to achieve, or I think that would be very, very handy. So we're going to get started with that. I'm thinking green will be the best option just because it will not be too dark. I oftentimes also just go for the dark version, like this one here, the black one. Or depending, of course, on my theme, it might be like a white one. But a lot of times I'll choose either black or green, depending on if I want it to be like relatively dark, or in this case, just green. Like I just want it to seem very full and lush. And then, you know, from specific angles, as you can see, you won't be able to see it at all. But I just feel a bit better knowing it's there, I guess. And then I think maybe once again, I'll get started with just some trees. So if I were to say this here could be a tree, I'm gonna have to keep the bottom trees in mind as well. So like maybe, you know, maybe that could be a tree, and here, and then perhaps like here. Maybe I can just go in between these two, which doesn't really work, I don't think. Right, but so perhaps we go up until that point, and then our next cliff would be sort of here, maybe. This time, perhaps we can also just push it close to the cliff edge right there. It could also be like a bit further to the back, but if I just go and start like a 3x3 cliff right here, I want to kind of see what that looks like. Yeah, so kind of like this. There we go. I still wish we had this option like in the DLC, you know, when you put like pathing. I don't think you can do cliffs in the DLC, but the way you do pathing and you just click it and it's there, a mode like that for landscaping would just, I mean, maybe also it would make things feel less kind of, it would feel less like an achievement if you truly did a big area, because it just would be so much easier, but it would also just be so much easier, you know? Okay. Yeah, so here we're once again coming to that problem of like, if we want this tree to be here, then this here where I'm standing can't be a rounded corner, which is very unfortunate. And there's always fewer tree spots than you think. Now I know there is there's that cliff tree hack. I don't like to use it. I like to just build my islands, you know, with all of the abilities that the game kind of brings you. So, you know, without like the modding and without the cheating and stuff, just because, first of all, it seems just like a hassle for me to do, if I'm honest, but also I feel like it is a lot less I don't know if accessible is the right word here, but I feel like it is a lot less easy to take inspiration from if it kind of uses things that the game sort of didn't intend that way, if that makes sense. Right. If I want this to be like a rounded cliff, then it'll have to be like this. But then the cliff definitely won't look as cute and not fit as many trees and so on and so forth. But yeah, we might have to do a little bit of compromising here. So could still kind of look like that. And then my plan was to kind of cut off the cliff here anyways. In this case right now, I don't even think there could be another tree anywhere because, I mean, this tree here could be further to the right-hand side. No, actually not, but maybe further to the right-hand side and to the front. That would work. Always depends a bit on the bottom layer trees as well, which one would look nicer. But then I suppose this spot here could also just be used for like a mushroom platform then. And then maybe we try to do another little bit forward here. Don't know if this would look nice, but it would be kind of an option. Right, and then it could also be a little bit further to the right-hand side, and maybe we can also take away some of the fence here so that I can... Oh wait, no, I can't bring the cliff further back. Never mind. We're gonna bring the fence back because this can't be a cliff anyways. So, yeah, doesn't really make sense to kind of spare it. Okay, there we go. Which also means this cliff will probably not look as nice on the map. But I guess that doesn't... The map probably doesn't matter either. Okay, and then for the sake of like it looking a bit prettier, maybe we just add a little bit more here. But in that case, I couldn't cut off my cliff anymore. So I guess we'll see if this is needed later on once we start planting trees, which I think we should start doing. Okay. Right, let's look at it from the front, just kind of see if it does what I want it to do. Oh yeah, I think I've done a build like this before, where I feel like maybe on my coastal island, where I kind of had a cliff in the background, and then there's like one second tier cliff here, and then one second tier cliff on the right, and then in the center there's not anything. I feel like that is a very typical layout. But it feels like it makes sense. It feels like it makes sense. Okay, and now in order for this to truly look like that forest clearing that I wanted, I think we need to try and start bringing in some trees. Now, I think it'll be a mixture of perhaps hardwood trees and cedar trees. Maybe some bamboo in between because it just looks lush and green, kind of. Yeah, but let's see how far we maybe get with just like hardwood and cedar. And also if maybe it's looking too like dark, like if there's maybe, yeah, if we need the bamboo trees to kind of lighten it up a bit more. Okay, let's bring the cedar tree over here instead, and let's make this one into a second stage hardwood perhaps. A little bit of greenery, you know? Okay, and then I think I'm gonna have to start planning out the top level trees as well. I think, you know what, I might mostly go for hardwood trees because they're beautiful, you know? They're beautiful and they've got so much like foliage, which is what I really want to go for here. Now, perhaps we might go for something cedar here. I'm gonna work with a bunch of like really tall trees here for a second because I think that they will be more likely to show up from the bottom layer. And then we can always still adjust the size if we feel like it is not showing up enough or something is showing up too much, etc., etc. That's the nice thing once again about that, you know, Slumber Island vibe. is that you can very easily pick up the trees again. You just pick them up like an item, and that is awesome. Okay. You know what? I'm actually quite okay with most of these. I don't love that huge gap we've got going on in between the cedar tree and the hardwood, like right here. But there isn't really too much I can do about it since, yeah, most of these can't really be moved around. I mean, this could be moved further back and the cedar tree could be moved further to the front. That's something we can try. We can also try swapping the two around so the cedar tree goes to the left instead. I'm sorry, I keep sometimes messing up the controls on the Slumber Island because they're very different to how you usually decorate on your island. You know how you always open your inventory with X? But here you have to open the kind of catalog with the arrow pointing to the right hand side. And so a lot of times I'll still go into my into my pockets. And then of course, once I've decorated a bunch on the Slumber Islands, I will do the exact opposite on my island and I'll keep hitting the arrow, right? The arrow pointing to the right hand side. And I need to hit X, of course, because humans get used to things very quickly, which is always, I don't know, I find that very fascinating. Okay. Right. I think we still have a giant gap going on. I do not think that my swapping of the tree positions did anything there. No. I wonder if swapping the types of trees would help me. I think maybe, because then we've got something a lot taller here. So I'm sorry again. So the cedar tree would be here. And then maybe if we do like a third stage hardwood, like the foliage would help a bit because the crown of the tree sort of is a bit lower. And so perhaps, I was going to say perhaps it goes right into that gap. I think we've just got a little bit of gap to deal with here. It might just be what we're dealing with. Yeah, I might like the original the best, actually, the way I had it first. So I think that was like third stage hardwood here. And then sort of the fully grown cedar back here. Okay, and then let's see if we can bring in some more trees. So I think we've got quite a bit of hardwood going on right now, so I think I'd like to have a bit more towards the right-hand side, like here. But then we'll break it up in between with a bit of a cedar tree. Again, we're building a forest, so I think the amount of trees is valid. Yes. And then maybe should do a little bit more planning again. I always like to plan with my shovel. Oh yeah, we can also see my little mushroom hat that way. Maybe we can have like a tree there. And then there's one on the cliff. Potentially could move towards the left-hand side instead if that is better looking. I definitely want it to have kind of a tree, I think, like here, or a tiny bit more to the front so that I can try and close or like, you know, hide that we're just on the edge of the beach here. So you know what? I think let's do fully grown hardwood tree right here. That gives us, again, quite a bit of nice foliage. Yes. Okay, but then maybe this tree here needs to also move right there. I wonder if this can be maybe a cedar tree. Or if we do the cedar tree like here. Yeah. I think that would actually benefit from being a hardwood tree instead. Oh, I did not mean to take the vine. I was going to press A to climb instead. There we go. Okay, so let's do like a third stage hardwood here instead. And then I guess you will be the cedar tree, right? I'm gonna go in with a fully grown one. I don't think this is a good size though. I think this might be too much. Since we're building everything kind of from like a viewpoint though. Yeah, that's a bit too much. Okay. Right. What I will do though is I've got 2 tree spots up here, right? Maybe this is the cedar spot. I'm just trying to bring in cedar trees now. Oh, wait. I'm gonna do 3rd stage. There we go. And then perhaps just, you know, more foliage. So fully grown hardwood. There we go. And then you were definitely not great here, so I'm gonna take you with me once again. I hate to say it, but other way around for those 2. It's just that the cedar trees get just very pointy at the top. So if you're in need for like foliage and that thick bit of leaf coverage, then oftentimes they're not really what you want to go for. And the cedar trees are a little bit taller, so they actually are quite nice to work with. If you need like more height, I suppose. Yeah, I do like that a lot better. And so unfortunately I can't put a tree here. I think this would be kind of the perfect spot for like the perspective. You know, if that was now like a cedar tree. But I quite like our pond shape, and I don't think I want to change anything about it, especially because once I change the left side, I'll have to adjust the right-hand side or like the back or something, or I'll have to shift everything over by a tile. And as you can see, we've planted quite a few trees already to make the changes now, so I don't think I want to do that. Which means that our tree would have to perhaps just move. We could also try and go like same tile and just do like a smaller, so it just covers the cliff a bit more. And then maybe that's a nice moment for us to kind of have like a mushroom platform. Yeah, and then maybe the we can have like a tree here, and I think that the cedar tree that I just planted up here could actually be a very tall one, like a fully grown one, because the 3rd stage one didn't actually show up. Yeah, if you have Nintendo Online, you know, one of my favorite things, or one of the most handy things in Animal Crossing decorating are different tree sizes. Like if you just did this all with the very same tree size, then it would look very, very different. And if you have Nintendo Online and you have access to the Slumber Islands, you know, I can recommend kind of using them to just try around with the different tree stages. Now, if you're playing on your own island, you do have to stunt them, which means that you do have to plant a fruit sapling in one of the 8 surrounding tiles of a tree. So anything like kind of around here. And you can use any of the fruit saplings except for coconut. Yeah, otherwise they will just continue growing to full stage. But if you stunt them, you know, and just keep that tree sapling there, that fruit sapling there, then that works. But it's kind of nice to maybe try and experiment a bit with it. I feel like that could quite work. And on Slumber Islands, you know, the nice thing is that you don't need to save any space for these fruit saplings. So you could just continue, you know, placing items around, which I love. Let me just do like a smaller one. Maybe this is a bit of a clearing in the clearing. Speaking of, I do think that we will need to go ahead and also just plant trees around the edges here, so that it truly seems just like encased by like the forest, you know? All while trying to keep enough open space so that you can still see like the pond and stuff, Right, so I'm actually kind of liking this here, but it might be too large. It might be too large, so that was a third stage. Is that also a third stage? I think this was the third stage too. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I kind of want to have maybe... Let's try like a hardwood here too. Yes. Okay, this is more that clearing vibe that I wanted. Awesome. Actually really liking this. And same thing here. We're going to need more towards the sides. Ooh, yes. Okay, and now let me go get my little helmet thingy on again. And also I want to see, where am I on the map right now? And also, what does this look like? Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, not too exciting. We are going to use a little bit more than one of those quadrants because I think I want to have, yeah, that little viewing platform, and that will definitely go into kind of the quadrant I'm in right now. But that's okay. So from those trees, the first thing I could do is here. Should I do that though, or should it be further back so you can also get a picture completely without it, you know? That would probably be the goal. But you can use it if you want, but you don't have to. Let me see though what the view currently is like. If I climb up there and I don't like it anyways, then we can just not have it. If we do have it, you know, then I also might kind of adjust it. Ooh, okay. Yeah, so I think it sort of works. I will say though, for a clearing, or no, sorry, for that viewing platform, I think we're too far away even. But then it would have to go all the way like this. So maybe I just do this towards the end for like a picture. Because I think this is more what you want, but then my giant head is in the way, so I need to connect it so I can move out of the way. Okay, but so maybe we say goodbye to the viewing platform as of now. That is a-okay. But this is kind of good. I think we can leave this open here. This is that clearing. And you know how I said, obviously, I'm not going to connect it to anything. But if you did, you know, you could have sort of maybe like a little path leading up. If you have, for example, like a more like straight path or something, maybe that just goes somewhere here. And then there's like a tiny path leading off of that. And then from there, you just kind of happen upon this clearing in the forest. I think that is perfectly fine. Now I am gonna kind of, I think like, I don't know, is it like blur out the edges? No, fade out the edges, I think is the word. So what I'm gonna do, just so everything kind of feels like it is sort of like a planned build in a completed island, is I'm just gonna plant a couple more like small-ish trees around the sides here. Maybe instead of this could be like a cedar as well. Yeah, and then we'll work with some weeds as well. And I think maybe we can try with kind of like a cedar tree somewhere, let's say here. Okay, let's do a tile further back. Again, my goal is sort of to hide the beach. Just pretend this isn't the beach that we're seeing there. I think that's fine. And then maybe we can do even another second stage. And then I think like you here could be a tree as well. Yeah, I think as far as the left-hand side goes, I'm quite happy with that coverage, I believe. And now we still got a few spots, of course, over to the right-hand side. So we're going to go with a big tree right there. Maybe let's do a cedar. That's kind of too much, actually. Be a bit further back, but then let's do a small one. Yes. And then from the perspective, well, I think first of all, we're gonna need something here, perhaps. Hard to tell. Maybe even like there. And then maybe we can just do like a little mushroom platform again here. So we've just so that we've got like a tiny little bit of an area that you can see right there. And then in order to close this off, I may just place another cedar tree here. Cedar tree, and then yeah, there we go. And another hardwood right there. I think this might be good. This might be good, and this might close it off enough to the side here. And then I will also just, because I've planted that, or I've built the cliff now. Maybe let's round this and just go with that. Oh, and I still have a few, of course. Wait, I forgot the trees up here. How could I? How could I? Okay, so let's see what we've got. So I can really only plant like one tree. So that'll be, I guess, like, yeah, either one of these 4 spots here. Maybe the one right here to the front, or maybe to the back, and then we can plant, or we can place something just in front of that tree. And then some mushroom platforms, right? And then we can plant one here, we can plant one there, and we can plant another one, maybe just right there. Okay. I think 3 more trees, and maybe that will be it for the area. Let's go. Let's do a hardwood, and let's do maybe another hardwood right here, but a smaller one. And then hopefully this isn't too doubly with the cedar tree that we've got just on the border, like this one here. And let's do that one up top as well for the height. Yeah. Actually, I'm sort of happy with that. It's just a lot of like foliage and greenery, but it looks quite decent from most angles. All right, it looks like we've got our forest. So I would say as far as the emojis go that I've got, if you don't consider my character, because I do cross off 2 of those, then we at least have the trees taken care of, right? I think the trees can be crossed off, and I think this is kind of a nice frame as well. Now, I think the next thing I would like to do is kind of take care of the mushrooms. So my thought was to use a couple of the mushroom items. Now let me find them here so I can place them down once, and then I can find them from my recently used catalog. I feel like that's one of the most easy ways to use the Slumber Island catalog, because otherwise I'll be scrolling forever, especially once the catalog is quite filled up. It can take a while to find what you're looking for. So I'm just gonna find it beforehand. And place all these down. There we go. Pretty. I love that. And then perhaps I should also use the Mario mushrooms. I think they're like at the very bottom somewhere. The good thing about these is that you can put something on top, right? So if you place these somewhere and we have something we'd like to kind of decorate on top, then we can. The small ones don't come in red, unfortunately. And then another thing I would like to do is use the floating blocks here Because if you put them directly behind a tree, I'm just going to show you right here. If you put them directly behind a tree, obviously if you walk past it like this, you will see it. So it's not the best if you walk directly by one of these, but if you have it just like in the background as you run past it like that, you don't really see it, and you can place something on top, which I was thinking we could do perhaps the doll houses. There we go. I don't know if I can turn these on too. Doesn't look like I can. But then you've got tiny houses in the trees. And I kind of want to do that, I think. I wonder if you, in some shape, because you can turn them on, that would be much cuter. But then now if I've taken it down again. Yeah, I can't. She doesn't turn it on, unfortunately. I guess the fairies aren't going to be home then. I guess the fairies are not going to be home. But this way, I'm just going to take all of these things away again, because obviously we don't need them here. All right. And now if you go into your catalog, you can go to the log part over here, and then you can just see your recently used things. So it's like really easy to kind of spam stuff, if you will. So yeah, I guess I need to kind of establish trees that are good for like the fairy houses. And then I also need to figure out from which side you place them. It's probably the best to place them from the back because then you see the front. But for this one, as you can see, I kind of can't do it, which is a bit annoying. So either I'll have to take a lot of stuff away again, or for this one, I'll have to use the side maybe. Oh my god, this is gonna be adorable, isn't it? Maybe I should try and also use some different ones so they're not all just the red version. I wish I could turn them on though. I wonder if I'm like missing something here. Okay, I can't place it from the back here either. Oh yeah, the green one could work, right? Oh my god, stop. That's gonna be so freaking cute. That's gonna be so cute. Alright, I am willing to put in some elbow grease here. So remember, this is a 3rd stage cedar tree, right? We can do it. We can do this. And then I'm gonna need my landscaping tool. I honestly just need to take this away. That is everything I need to then be able to place my floating block back and also bring the dollhouse. Yeah, see, because this side is so cute. This side is literally the cutest. Okay, and then here's my cliff with the rounded part. I can still walk underneath these, which is very handy at least. Here is my vine, and then we did have a 3rd stage cedar tree here, so there we go. Okay. Right. I actually don't know what these look like if placed behind a cedar tree. Let's see about that. I am thinking they will not show up as much. Yeah, no. So, okay. We basically need to kind of identify all of the fully grown hardwood trees. Because, yeah, let's try what it looks like behind a 3rd stage. But then, oh yeah, you very much see the block, which I don't really want. Okay, so all of the fully grown hardwood trees that are kind of like more towards the back need one of those behind it with a fairy house on top. And I can't forget, how do I access this? Hold on. Do I go into my custom designs here? Oh my god. Or will these just be on the floor? Oh, they can't be far off to the side, I think, because in that case, they might not they might not work exactly the same. Okay. Once again, we're gonna do a little bit of a trial right here. Those are so cute. Okay, I think I might prefer the doll houses because they are like more 3D rendered and look good kind of from all the angles, whereas these look a bit, they're like weirdly curved backwards, right? So maybe the mushroom houses are just going to be placed at the bottom, like on the floor. I really, really want to be able to place this house from the back. So I'm going to put in a bit more elbow grease once again. Oh wait, I already was in the right mode. So we're going to take away, once again, a little bit of the cliff. Is this being extra? Perhaps, but I think it is worth it. I'm still trying with all my might to turn these on. And I always forget that I'm already in the landscaping mode. Okay. At least I can still build it, even with the house kind of being placed just above me, if you will. That's really good. Okay. You can definitely be one of those floating blocks. Wait, that was not right. There we go. Yeah, same thing here, I suppose. Actually, wait, I want to see what this looks like from the bottom too. And then I can take you with me and maybe already replace you with a green version. Maybe even this one. If it's not too far to the front so that you're able to see the floating block. Okay, that one you do kind of see. I wonder if I should change the location like a half tile to the side, so perspective wise it looks good, but then if you walk past it, it doesn't. Okay, I'm gonna change the time of day real quick. Oh, it sort of looks a bit cuter if it's kind of later at night because it looks a bit more like that. So it's just like a cutesy, sleepy town, like a fairy town, if you will. Okay. Oh no, wait, no, not the tree. Not the tree. Bring back the tree. I want to see if I can move like a tile, half a tile to the side. Yeah, essentially like that. Don't hate it. Don't hate it. Okay. I think we've got a little bit of work to do here again. Okay, fully grown cedar. You'll be back in just a second. I just have to take this cliff here away. So sad I can't turn these on. Can't do that from here either, right? Logically, you'd think like, oh wait, I'm closer now, so... But yeah, no. That, unfortunately, will not work. That would have been so cute, though. Okay, the one at the very top is still kind of the wrong way around, but it was actually so hard to see. I wonder if it's worth the hassle, or if we just leave that one. If we just leave that one a different way around. And perhaps we do need to do that for another one somewhere. Maybe for the green one on the right-hand side. I know that we did adjust stuff here as well, but maybe we need to switch it up. No, I think it's from this side. Yes. Kind of like the, what is that, the entrance? Is that the big entrance or kind of like a patio? Balcony? God, it's so cute, isn't it? If I'm missing anything about turning these on, by the way, do let me know. Oh no, I can't. I won't be able to put it the right way around here. So I wonder if at least I can place it kind of sideways. Yes, okay. We'll have another one just off here to the side, but this way once again. Or I've adjusted the clip. And probably the red one. Okay, I think we did it. I think we've got fairy houses on all the trees where it's possible now, except for this one, but I feel like this one is a bit too far to the front for us. So it's a little bit too visible. I'll keep this one here for now. If I end up hating it in the end, because you can kind of see that, then maybe I'll remove it. Cute though. Heckin' cute. It's kind of like you're walking here and it's kind of, oh, you can see it from the distance already. Oh, that's adorable. That is adorable. Okay, so I would say at this point we have marked off the trees and perhaps the fairies, because who else would be living in those beautiful little homes? And we still have to bring in the mushrooms, so let's go and do that right now. So the parasols especially are a 2x2 items, so those need a little bit of space, so I think those will be the first ones I focus on. And then I think once I found a spot, I might also just add my little flower path that I have just underneath it. Okay, so maybe like this, and then we can bring in some more foliage behind it. Oh yeah, the mushrooms I think will look really, really pretty. See, and then this is a spot where on your actual island you wouldn't be able to place one here because you probably have your tree stunted. But on the Slumber Island I can do it, which is good. I will use that opportunity. Okay. Let me grab this one. Can I have one here? Wait, is this 1, 2, 1, 2? I think so. Can I not? Oh, because I have this here, right? The vine has to go and then it should fit. Yes. Or we move it to the right-hand side, adjacent to the tree, and then the vine will also be able to go back in. Oh yeah, cute. I like that being visible kind of from the bottom. Okay, here we potentially could do 2. So 1 could be here. Let's kind of go with that for now. I have to, to maybe move around to get out of here. Actually, wait, I'm still kind of stuck. Okay, there we go. So that would be 1. And then I wonder if it looks good if there's like, if there's another one here. I want to see what this looks like in combination. Or 1 here in front of the cedar tree. Yeah. Always vines everywhere, so I can always make my little escape. Okay. Not hating it. Now let me bring back my platform just here as well. Okay, I don't love that one there, admittedly. Can I... I should be able to kind of pull it in there, right? So if it's placed like this. Yeah, so that would be possible. I wonder if maybe that's cuter. But then maybe I should only go for the parasols and not the platforms. Unless I do a better mixture of them. I can't like just have one. Ooh, one to the front here is definitely good. Just to ground the theme much earlier. Okay, this way could work, but then I think this here needs to be a platform. So this one needs to be a platform instead of a parasol. Yeah. It's always good to have, I would say like 3 is always kind of this like magical design number where repetition starts to look really good and make sense. So I would say like go for 3 of one thing in an area in like different places to kind of ground the item and to make it make sense, sort of. Okay. This might be good. This might be a good distribution. Let me go into kind of my little picture mode here. Oh, it's starting to look really cute. Yeah. Okay, I think I do like that a lot. I like how the platforms, now these here are kind of in this like same line, I guess, but I feel like it still kind of works because one is very much in the foreground and one is very much in the background. Considering the space I have, what I could do is I could also just push it further to the side. Or I could also bring it kind of like here instead, you know, like further to the side, but also a little bit further to the back. So now I think they should create a really nice sort of frame. Let me try and keep it to the full tiles so we can work a bit better with then like planted stuff. I'll get back to that in a second. I feel like that is one of the most important things when decorating as well. Yeah, so in this case, I think they're even more like distributed than before. Okay, one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna twist the parasol that's up there. So the tiny parasol on the side is kind of on the left-hand side instead. And also maybe now I'll go back in and I'll just add the flower path. I feel like underneath these, honestly, it's not that important. But especially on the under the Mario platform thingies, because those are just like this one tiny, or not tiny, but this one stick essentially. Okay, so and then I want it to have this here. Oh yeah, but it's nice because you see the flowers. Makes it look a little bit more whimsical, which is very nice for what we're doing here. I know that this can be very different. I've seen other people decorate and kind of, they immediately always put down like all of the custom designs that they use. And that's like the first thing they start with. Which for me, I think is true when I'm laying path. Like I will make sure to kind of start with my pathing somewhere and then sort of, you know, build everything around it. But I feel like especially for stuff like this, like if I'm putting like let's say 9-tile grassy path underneath some items, like an assortment of items that could be, you know, parasols like here, that could be barrels or something like that. Or I'm also putting maybe like, I don't even know, just a little bit of dirt path underneath a bunch of items. And I always kind of do the item assembly first before I then figure out what yeah, how the path will look, because I feel like my brain works better that way around, but I know that's not the case for everyone. But yeah, I kind of always work in these like layers. So this time, because I didn't have a path, I didn't start with that one. Usually that will be something I do pretty early on. And then obviously layout. So, you know, we did a bunch of the cliffs and the pond and stuff. So like the basic idea for the area that I had. And now, you know, well, then we did the trees, and now we're kind of going in with like the big, most important items. Those also sometimes go hand in hand. Like if you want to have a big, I don't know, table setup or something, then I'll first carve out that spot before I kind of, you know, cover everything else with trees and there's no room anymore. But so those go hand in hand. But I think a lot of times for me, it'll be like trees, and then sort of like the bigger items, and then I'll kind of start filling everything with like details. And it kind of helps me to keep things very organized, because otherwise my brain can get very twisted up if I'm trying to do too many things at the same time. Like if I were to immediately go in and, you know, start doing trees alongside the mushrooms and alongside all the houses, and think about, oh, where do I want the houses, etc., I think my brain would just completely, yeah, shut down, because it would be too much. Okay. I really like those platforms, I think, or like generally the big mushrooms. Now I think, I don't know if I also maybe want some of the lamps, and specifically if I want them to be turned on. It is quite nice because of like the light that they bring, but I think it just looks too different from the other red. So I might not bring in the lamps, at least not when illuminated. But perhaps as like non-illuminated, or I think what I really want to bring in is the mush partition. I love that item. And I feel like especially against a couple of the cliffs or something like that, that could work really, really well. Okay, in that case, I don't love how it's visible on the right-hand side of the tree, which we could fix if I just take away this vine, and then perhaps we just bring it half a tile in. There we go. That might be better. Yes. Oh, I love those. I also think here would be lovely. Oop. There we go. So they're kind of like visible through the trees. Nice. And then I don't even know if we need them in another spot. They're not even all that visible. I think maybe just towards the left here could work. Okay, that will not be able to fit because of the Mario block, but perhaps there. Or in front. Oh no, not the tree. I think that was the third stage. Or maybe in front of the tree. And if this is too much with the one on the right hand side, we're gonna have to decide which ones we like better. Probably the one on the left. I'm gonna go in and place it from the other side so we get a slightly different kind of rotation of the mushrooms. Okay. And then maybe to keep in line with my, you know, 3 of an item sort of rule, I'm gonna bring one in here. Obviously remove this one. There or behind it. But just so we get like that, the bunch of mushrooms in a few different spots. Can I do it maybe behind this? Once again, I can't do it next to the tree because of the dollhouse. What does it look like if I place it sideways? Okay, not terrible. I'm not loving the gap here once again, but I think that can be easily fixed with maybe some shrubs later on, and maybe it's just nice to kind of have it on the side there, because it almost felt like if I placed it this way around, it is kind of too much. Nope, wait. Like that way around? Or maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine. Yeah. Do we need any more on top of the cliffs? Honestly, I feel like we've got a lot of stuff going on, so we may not even need it. I kind of want to see what it looks like if I place it up against the fence in the background. Like if I just place another mush partition right here. But I doubt that it will show up, so. If you go further in, then it does, and I feel like I'm okay with it, so it will be allowed to stay. Okay. Honestly, I am very happy with my like mushroom coverage. I feel like it doesn't need to be much more than this. It already looks like a magical mushroom forest, sort of. Now, obviously we've got 3 different mushroom platforms. We can still place something on top of those. I don't know if houses are too many. I do want to test a theory that I have though, because what? Dang it, see these ones I can actually turn on. These ones I can actually turn on. Okay. How important is turning on the doll houses for us? I wonder, because there is another option that we maybe could do where this one is relatively easy to place, I think. So let's try it with this one, where instead of the Mario blocks, we will use one of the ruined pillars, I think they're called. Or maybe if there's another kind of pillar like that, that works. Let's see if I find it first. I should have it though. I do remember picking it up and cataloging it. I may have scrolled past it. No, there we go. Okay, so I guess like any of these 3 should work, but I feel like the ruined decorated one is gonna be able to maybe blend in with the trees the most. The problem is this one is the most likely to show up. Or not the most likely, but this is more likely to show up than yeah, than the Mario block. But now, I think this was a greenhouse, but it doesn't matter. Now we could place it. Let's try that from the other side though. Now we could place it and we could actually turn it on because then we can interact with it. I'm kind of sad that that doesn't work with the Mario blocks. Unless I'm kind of not standing in the perfect spot for it. It's cute, isn't it? Dang, it's kind of cute when there's fairies actually home. Yeah, oh my gosh, okay. I think I'm gonna have to do it, perhaps. It might be worth it. Okay, I might want to try it here. Maybe they don't all have to be turned on either, but also, I mean, we might as well. Let's do it. You know what? I think it's worth it to me. which means we're gonna have to put in some more elbow grease here to, you know, remove the cliffs and bring the cliffs back, etc. But that's okay. I think this time I might even have to remove more because I have to place an item that I won't be able to walk underneath anymore. Okay, but so ruined decorated pillar, the dollhouse, and then here is the light. And then we bring back the cliff right here. Plus a vine. Plus a third stage tree. There we go. Okay, and this one I definitely want to see from the bottom because this is going to be the most visible house. Yeah, it's too cute not to do it. It's too cute not to do it. Now, dang it, I don't remember which ones I had where. Okay, red. Yeah, maybe let's make this one a red one too, and then we can put another one on top of the Mario platform and do that one in green. Oh my god, this is so cute. This would really be like really adorable island theme if you do have kind of enough yeah, I don't know, enough like inspiration for it, then you could do something really adorable with this. Oh my gosh, I keep switching the mode without wanting to. Okay, my plan here is to remove this so I can stand right in the center here, so that if I now place my dollhouse, it'll place it in the center. Perfect, perfect. That's what I wanted. And then I can bring back my little cliff here. And then I can get out of this by just climbing up here. Okay, we're gonna need to have... Yeah, we're gonna need a little bit more of elbow grease over here too, because I need to add myself a little bit of cliff to stand on, which we will remove in just a second, but for now I'm gonna have to stand here. Oh wait, I could literally, I don't even have to do this sometimes. I could just, oh my gosh, see, I was so focused on the fact that I'm not gonna be able to interact with the Mario blocks that I forgot that I can interact with the ruined pillars, which means I can also turn them. I could literally like twist them around, so I could just place the house and then twist it whichever way I need it. Okay, that was a... Okay, we don't talk about that. We all have our moments. You know, we all have our moments. Oh yeah, but look, now they're all home. Now it looks alive. It still looks sleepy, but it doesn't, it looks, yeah. I like this better. Okay, I'm gonna attempt to do the same thing here, even though the pillar is partially visible, but perhaps it'll be fine. How do I best do this? Perhaps just a green one and place it from the back. And then you were a second stage cedar tree. This one here would probably look better if it was this way around. Yeah. Okay, I've got 2 more to fix up just on top of here. Can I climb up still? Oh, I can. Okay. I won't be able to climb back down though. Okay, that should be all the houses, I think. Let's see. Yes, that's all the houses. Okay, the one at the very, very top left there, you can't see perfectly, but that's okay. And now I'm thinking maybe this one back here we can twist sideways. So it shows that. So it looks like a tiny bit different than the one that's just next to it, like the green one. Okay, all right, I'm quite happy with that. So we've got the fairies, we've got the trees, we've got the mushroom. Now, I obviously still need a bunch of like greenery in terms of the fillers, like some shrubs I think would be really nice, some weeds we can go ahead and plant. The great thing about the Slumber Islands is that you can literally pick the weed that you want. And yeah, this is kind of the reason why I chose kind of the season, so the kind of end of April, because you get these lovely, very lush green weeds. And there is a little bit of pink here. And I did things, so I have an iPhone, which means I see the iOS versions of the emojis first, which always kind of inspires my vision of what I want to build. And for me, that flower is a pink one. So I was thinking about perhaps including a couple of the pink flowers. Like the mums look most like that for me. We could also go with white, and we could also go perhaps with red, of course. You know, I feel like all of those might work, but we've already got like quite a bit of red, so I actually don't mind kind of loosening it up a bit with a bit of like the pink and white perhaps. Something I actually haven't thought about until now, and you can see that because I literally do not have it cataloged, is the glowing moss. I wonder if I should have glowing moss, or if that kind of maybe, if that pushes the color scheme too much in a yellow direction, which actually might be the case. I might want to see if I can work without it, and just kind of go with these options here. So like weeds and the mums. I don't think I want to use wheat fields because I feel like right now in my head they feel too farm-esque, whereas I kind of want to instead use just the weeds and then I think shrubs. Again, oh yeah, also very fun thing that regardless of what season you're in, you can always choose the different shrub stages. So even in winter, for example, you could have green hydrangeas, which can be quite fun. I think purple is going to be way too much. I don't think I want to go for shrubs with flowers. I feel like that's going to be too much. And I am leaning more towards some like lighter colored ones. So like I think hydrangeas would fit, but I think my favorite might be the azalea one because it just looks very, very nice. And recently I've gone over to just having one or two types of shrubs so that there's not too much like decision fatigue in just planting things to fill space, if that makes sense. Okay. What I also still wanted to do is actually a little bit of that like grass path. I mean, I did get it, so I feel like I should use it maybe just in one more spot, just like here towards the front at least. And I also still have the houses, the little fairy houses. Fairy houses and a little circle as well, like the fairy circle. Maybe also should be used here. I don't know, maybe the sideways one? Okay, let me see if I just do this piece. Oh, that needs to be a straight one. Dang. There we go. And then maybe I can just do this singular piece here. Or even here. And then this is the flowers. Yeah, that's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. We can also maybe do another one here. Just like in between the trees there. And then I guess sort of here could also work if it doesn't feel too duplicate with the patch that's just underneath the mushroom platform. I suppose it depends on what we place there. Okay, before I forget these, because the umbrella codes I actually tend to forget, I wanted to see what the little houses look like. If we actually, nope, don't erase it. If we actually incorporate these, if they kind of fit the rest of the mushroom things, or if maybe they just don't even work with what we've done so far. I mean, they are cute. They are cute. They do still kind of curve backwards, so maybe they're not the best for the kind of angle that we have, like the viewing angle. They're also kind of adorable though, aren't they? They also are really quite adorable. Maybe that one in the center back there I don't love. But maybe that one can just be over... Oh, sorry, that was not the intention. Maybe that one can just be further off to this side. Okay, just to test where they show up the best. Okay, don't love either of those because where it now is, I won't be able to put anything else that's kind of like natural behind it, just behind like the cedar tree. Maybe this is sort of good though. And maybe just one more off here to the side and then that'll be it for fairy houses, I think. Yeah, now they're just kind of hidden throughout. I don't know if I love this one. Maybe it's nicer if they're literally just kind of around the outside of it. Okay, and then I want to see maybe a leaf pile. Sort of there, and then also over there on the left-hand side. Yes. And then I believe we should also still incorporate some of the lily pads, right? So we include those as well from the emojis. So maybe like 2 right there. I can maybe even try to bring in all of them. I think they look quite decent together, right? Like they look sort of almost like they're from the same creator, I think. Yes. And I think maybe like one here. Actually further to the front, I think works. Haven't used my little mushroom circle. And then most of my little houses are actually all of them are on a half tile. So unfortunately can't even place them under the houses. But that's okay. All right, maybe that's enough. And now I am pretty sure I picked up the Karopi snack, which is I think somewhere down here. These are, I think, the best when you're trying to put frogs. I did get the little model as well. Like, you know, when you're... I haven't caught any frogs, but I think they're probably in like little cages. But so I don't have it here since I didn't catch it myself. But I did get the kind of model. But I think those oftentimes... It kind of works if you sort of more hide them behind things, but the Karopi snacks, I think, just have this derpy cuteness to them that I really love, even though these frogs look amazing. It's just kind of the stand of it, you know, that kind of disrupts the plans a little bit maybe, or like the vibe, I suppose. Maybe just some frogs around. I wonder if maybe I also can turn one of these. Maybe not the one here at the very front. Maybe one of them can be twisted in a different direction. I don't know if I have any of the plucked flowers. Yeah, I did not get the plucked flowers. Oh, and you can't drop them, can you? You can only place them. Okay, well then never mind. I don't want to place them. Okay, maybe these frogs down here, and then maybe... one of the frogs got up there. Whereas maybe one of the frogs going inside one of the homes? Just heading back home? I don't know if that works the way I want it to. Right. I think I'm sort of happy with the item distribution, which means it would now be time to do the fillers. It obviously is already quite full. I don't plan on covering up every single tile of what you see here, but I certainly do still want to add a couple of those flowers, like I said. So I think maybe I'll start with those. And first of all, I'll have to check if the kind of pink mum plan, if that looks good, or if I should go for red instead, or white. And maybe I'll do pink. I don't know. I feel like with white, there is something missing almost. And with like red, I feel like there's already enough red. So maybe kind of like a slightly softer version of it is kind of exactly what we need. At least kind of in the center here. Like around the pond, you know? Maybe I can get one more. Sort of right there in the center, maybe even here. Yeah. And then maybe around the sides we can go with more like white. Just whenever we feel like there's maybe a bit of an open spot. There's really not that many, if I'm honest. Or a mixture. Swap these around. This is the pink one. Yeah, maybe that's nice. And then I'm sort of still picturing like maybe a couple of shrubs here and there. I want to always do the ones without the flowers because I think at some point it just gets too much, obviously. Yeah. And of course I still want to bring in some weeds, in which case I probably should put in the effort to sort of, you know, make them the size that I want. So I'm thinking there's going to be quite a few like tall grown ones maybe, because since this is kind of a pond, right, it would make sense for stuff to be sort of overgrown a little bit at least, you know. Also, of course, partially hiding the, yeah, the little mushroom houses. I actually quite like that. I kind of want to have a taller one here, too. And then maybe this here can be another shrub behind that tree. Yes, I think this kind of gives me those overgrown pond vibes. Like the weeds. Unfortunately, you can't control them that well on your island. What you can do, especially if you don't have that many tall grown weeds just yet, is just plant some around the pond and then time travel for a while. But at some point, you will hit like your wheat limit, and then no other weeds will spawn, and no weeds that already are there will grow taller, which, in certain moments is really handy, but sometimes you just want a little bit more of that overgrown vibe, which in my case, I kind of want right now. Yeah, I kind of like that, I have to say. And since we're only decorating a little bit of a frame, I think what I'll do is just towards the side here, I'll kind of fade it out as well. So I'll just maybe even like a stand here and then just plant a couple of them. And then just thin them out again. Because obviously if I just stand here, it just kind of fills all of the spots. But then, yeah, maybe I can just go and like remove a few. Plant a few new ones. And then maybe we don't even use too many shrubs towards the front, so that we kind of still keep it a bit open, at least open feeling. Yeah, it's so weird how it just kind of starts, but we'll have to kind of work with that. Because otherwise, I will literally start planting trees, and in a matter of a few minutes, we'll just have everything here completely filled. That wouldn't really be, it wouldn't really be great either. Oh wait, that's not what I wanted to do. I just wanted to plant some weeds here. Okay, and then towards the sides, maybe we can bring in a few more of those. Also here. Honestly, I am very happy with this. I am very, very happy with this. Let me see if there is a couple of spaces up here where I might also want to add some weeds perhaps, or like a shrub or something. But admittedly, I don't even think I'm going to add too much because I don't even really see it all that much. And so sometimes lately I have been just more of the mindset like, you know what, let me just save my energy maybe, and not put so much effort into decorating things that a lot of times you don't even really see anyways, that don't even really make too much of a difference. In this case, we can also just, once again use the Slumber Island thing to the Slumber Island function to just plant a few weeds around. So let's do it this way around so I can plant them there and here. And then I think we could also have one here maybe. All right. Honestly, I believe this will be the area. Now, do I fit in with my outfit? I would say so. I've got the light green of the frogs. I am wearing a frog dress. I'm wearing a mushroom hat. I feel like all those colors do still work, which is very nice. I feel like if you get too far away, then obviously a little bit of the effort that we put into decorating kind of the fairy houses does get a bit lost with the time of day and the lighting and stuff. So I'd like to try maybe some different times in just a second. And then if I get closer, I do wonder, should I go back up to the very top levels and just add a few tall grown weeds perhaps? Because, you know, and then I think I'm gonna actually twist that lighthouse, sorry, not lighthouse, the fairy house here. Either this way around or maybe this way around, just because otherwise you do see kind of the inside of the dollhouse, which seems a tad awkward. Maybe the other way around, because this way you don't see any of those carefully turned on lights. Okay, I think the most interesting parts are kind of the in-between ones here. Like in between the trees are like the most visible. So maybe we can also plant just another shrub. Okay, there we go. That could maybe be enough. Also, in case you are still watching at this point, first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. But also, I would love to know what you think of the Slumber Island long plays, because those are obviously going to be a little bit easier for me to do, because it's not always going to be my islands, which means I can also just try like themes or just like random areas and stuff like that without it having to fit into my current theme and my current areas and all that. But of course, for example, the music is the same basically all throughout the video. And I find it very, very calming and peaceful. But sometimes, you know, these things can also kind of be annoying after a while. So that might very well be happening. So yeah, if you have an opinion on it, feel free to tell me about it, of course. And yeah, depending on that, the Slumber Island Let's Plays or Long Play, sorry, might happen, yeah, more or less often, I guess. Okay, let's do another tiny little bit of weed maybe here. And then I think that should be fine. I actually don't mind this either. Kind of that, like, up on the cliffs, it is much less with, like, flowers. And it's just going to be kind of, like, some shrubs and some greenery. And the flowers and the more exciting stuff just happens on, like, the ground level. There's definitely, like, enough excitement, I think. Okay. Now can I... No, I can't do it from my photo mode. Okay, let's take a look at this in slightly different times of the day. So this would be kind of like a 5 a.m. 5 a.m. lighting. This is the 6 a.m. that we've been working with that I still really, really like. This is kind of the 7 a.m. I feel like, you know, something in between would be lovely too. Just kind of, the world is just kind of waking up. Yeah, middle of the day, I feel like some of that fairy house magic kind of gets lost. I mean, it kind of could even work as like a nighttime sort of vibe, you know? Some of those lovely stars. Maybe the moon. Yeah. I think obviously, you know, the entire vibe or like that clearing sort of thought still works in whichever time of day, like whichever lighting, because it is just a very like natural sort of area. But I think I'm gonna say that my favorite would probably be the 6 a.m. My favorite is probably the 6 a.m. simply because, you know, the fairy house lights do show up. It seems very sleepy, it seems sort of magical, and it does seem kind of like a clearing. I wish I could do sort of like a light, like a sunlight beam that kind of shines on the pond now. That would be like the cherry on top. But I'm gonna be honest, this is actually, even this is a beautiful frame. Yeah, this is pretty nice. I want to see our viewing platform back once I've given you a couple of the different angles. The only sad thing for this angle is that you don't even see a lot of the fairy houses that we put in. You'd have to sort of grab the camera at kind of the tilting moment. Actually, I kind of like this too. It was just this one spot right here where I thought maybe another weed. Okay, and then let me bring in my viewing cliff, which I think might have to be here or even further in direction of the pond, because look at this. This already kind of makes everything a lot more hazy. Oh, but cute. Cute overview. This is quite nice. Now, if I bring in, okay, some photo magic here. I just make this here a little bit longer so I can just get out of the way of the photo maybe. And also I'm gonna put the vine back here so you don't see this bit. There we go. Ooh. Oh my god, imagine though you had the entire other area like walking up to this on a second level, and there was just this like viewing spot, and you just kind of walk up to it like this. You see this coming closer? That's so pretty. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, see, that way it kind of doesn't even show up that much. I quite like this. Quite like this. This is quite a cute frame. I do also see another spot where I want a shrub and a weed, so I'll be right back once I've put those in. Helps a little bit. I think the wheat could have been one more to the front, but this is detail stuff now. Okay, another trick in this moment perhaps could be to just put a piece of the path here so that if we stand there, it depends on kind of the angle, but so that if we stand here, it almost looks like the path from the bottom just continues on top. Yeah. And so with that, thank you all so much for watching today. I had a lot of fun building this little forest clearing, this little mushroom fairy themed pond build, and I hope that I matched it to the emojis. I would say we kind of hit all of them. I do see frogs, I do see the flowers that kind of look like those lotus flowers. I do see lots of mushrooms, the fairy houses, and the trees. So I personally am quite happy with this. Thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe if you are interested in more long plays, and then I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye everyone.